Have you ever wanted to play some video games, but nothing seems to be doing it? Modern games don't invoke that same feeling, and the old classics also fail to inspire. Well, if you can relate, know that I've been there too. Quite often, unfortunately. And it got me thinking, a sad thought I don't want to believe, but do I even enjoy video games anymore? And I mean truly enjoy them, for their own sake. I still play video games. I play Guild Wars 2 every day. But how much of that is just habit? Skinner box type mind tricks to keep me in the game. If I wasn't already 10 years invested, would I still play? Why do more modern games seem so uninteresting to me? With these questions in mind, I decided there was only one course of action: to go back to the start, to replay all the big key games that left an impression on me, starting as far back as I can remember, and working my way to modern day to see if I can reignite my love of video games. I've dubbed this exercise Chasing Nostalgia.
Alien, Predator, sci-fi's baddest boys together at last with a little time to kill. You're a predator on a planet infested with aliens. You've got high-tech weapons, they've got mutant guardians with special powers, and the big mean queen that'll kill to protect her eggs. 10 awesome levels. You hunt with the moves, the spears, discs, lasers, and invisibility powers, but they keep coming with acid fangs and claws. You're a hunter-predator. You came to fight. You came for the action. You came for the aliens.
Okay, perhaps you'll have experience in what I'm about to describe to you, but have you ever had a video game that you didn't really care for? Maybe it was too hard, maybe it was kinda boring, perhaps you couldn't understand it, but you continued to play it because, well, it's all you had? When I was growing up, I mostly only got new games on my birthday or Christmas. Sometimes, rarely, I might get a video game out of the blue. I'm not gonna act like that never happened, but the majority of the time, I had what games I had, and that was that. Well, I'm not entirely sure how my 6-year-old self got a hold of this game, but I did, and it's honestly just as dull as I remember. I knew nothing of the Alien or Predator franchise when I was a kid, but to be fair, I was, a kid. But I'm older now. I know a bit more about these 80s icons. Not a whole bunch more, mind you, but I'm familiar at least. Do I feel any different about the game? No, absolutely not. I'll even be honest with you. I couldn't even finish the game. Now don't get me wrong, with save states and stuff, I'm sure I could beat it. It's not an argument about difficulty. It's just a boring test of tedium. So, first off, I do have to say I do like the presentation. The sprite quality in these cutscenes are actually pretty good, and the Predator is definitely looking as badass as he should. So the way the game presents its narrative is pretty clean. Granted, the story could be summed up as aliens everywhere, Predator kill good. But that's besides the point. The presentation itself, at least, is commendable. But that's just how it looks and presents itself. What kind of game is this? Well, it's an old-fashioned beat-em-up. You go from left to right, punching, kicking, blasting, and sliding into every alien that even thinks to look at you. So, alright, you are an alien killing machine, and fighting these creatures makes sense to do it in a beat-em-up style fashion. But other than the okay pixel art and decent, yet repetitive soundtrack, the gameplay itself leaves much to be desired.
Oh, Sage, you just don't like beat-em-ups. That's why it's boring to you,
says someone maybe to themselves. But here you are wrong. Some games I enjoy very much are beat-em-ups. Streets of Rage, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Hell, I have the arcade 1-up cabinet for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles because Turtles in Time is so fucking radical I had to. Cowabunga, my dude. So it's not about the style of game, it's about how well it does it. And I would argue, Alien vs. Predator does it poorly. You don't really have combos, or even heavy or light attacks. You can do a few punches, you can jump kick, you can charge your little shouldered gun laser, which is admittedly cool. But ultimately, none of that matters, because you have this one busted move. It's the slide kick. Basically, most, if not every fight, can be beaten by just repeatedly abusing this technique.
Slide to the left, slide to the right.
Occasionally, these items will drop that you can use. One is like a disc. Maybe it's an item from one of the movies? I really don't know. The other one is a javelin. And yes, it's a javelin, not a spear. You throw javelins, not spears. The first few levels are fine. But eventually you reach this crazy nest area, and it's crawling with these face huggers. That is the term, right? I'm not 100% positive. But this area is just nuts. I do like how you can see all these faces in the wall back there. Are they dead or alive? Are they corpses? Or are they being used for breeding? I don't really know. It's pretty messed up. Dead or alive, walls made out of human is always metal as fuck. The atmosphere in this game is pretty badass. The only other thing to mention, as is beat 'em up law, is that you have to have an elevator level. And I can confirm that at the very least, this game does in fact have an elevator level. But man, that's about all I got to say. I never finished this game back then, and I honestly can't be bothered to slog through it now. I'm sure someone familiar with the two properties might enjoy it more, but I really don't know much about either. I know Predator is the film where the epic manly handshake comes from.
You son of a bitch.
And I also know that Frieza's third form is a reference to it.
So, Namekian, what do you think of my third form?
I think Ridley Scott's gonna sue somebody.
What are you talking about?
But my pool of knowledge doesn't go much further than that, really. The game itself might not be anything amazing, but hey, it did leave a mark on me. I did decide to put it on this chasing nostalgia list after all. I think the reason why it's here is because it was the first video game I played where I found out it's possible to not enjoy every video game. Like, it was my first taste of indifference, I guess. I don't hate it. It doesn't offend me or anything. It's just kind of dull, boring. But learning that lesson, that sometimes even video games can be kind of dull and boring, was something worth remembering. And that's why it's on the list. And with that, another game down. I know I was completing the games before this one, but it's important to understand that finishing the games I play is not a requirement for these videos. My goal with Chasing Nostalgia is to retrace my steps as a lover of video games, to reflect back and to take a look at all that has come before to find out how I got to where I am, and hopefully to rekindle some of that old love for the art form. These videos are not an in-depth analyzation of each game presented, rather a more inward look at how it made me feel, then and now, with any memories associated with it, for good or ill. It's an introspective experiment. Anyway, I digress. I've got some more nostalgia to chase. Please don't forget to do that YouTube likes and subscribe stuff, you know the drill. Till then, stay safe out there. Peace.